Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michele Jutrisa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up. Please excuse me. I just thought before I get started with today's live, I should give my tools a bit of a clean. Now, how often do you clean your blocks and clean your paper snips and clean your trimmer? Now, I am going to be very truthful and honest here. I don't do mine enough. Hi, Deborah. How are you? And really, I'm actually really surprised how filthy these are. They get things on them like leftover ink, even though they look like they're clean. Oh, sorry. They look like they're clean. They're not really that clean. Yes, you can put them in the dishwasher and throw them in the dishwasher or in this your kitchen sink with some water, soapy water, and give them a good clean. But you know what? I have never actually really given these a really good clean by hand, and I'm really surprised on how dirty they are. So I'm quite disgusted in myself at the moment. Look at that. That's black. That's just leftover ink. Oils from your skin, and I wouldn't have said looking at them with just naked eyes, they might say, how dirty these were. I wouldn't have thought that they were sort of like that dirty. So it's actually made me quite realise how filthy our blocks can get. So it's probably a good idea if maybe after you've finished using them, or if once a week or something like that, just to go over them and give them that really great clean. So I think I've done them all now. So let me just pop these all away and then we can get started today. So I've already cleaned my trimmer, and all I'm using is a bottle of alcohol. This is the one that I get from Bunnings. My husband gets for me, and I'm just using that to give it a wipe down. You don't need a huge amount of it. You just need enough to put onto a piece of kitchen paper towel, or even a microfiber cloth would work really well, and just give it a good wipe down. And it gets the glue off your snips as well. Hello, Leslie. How are you? So, really worthwhile, and I should encourage you all and myself to do this more often. Okay. All done. Well, they're all put away now for next time. Get rid of that. And I've already cleaned down Mr. Spot, my plate there. So let me just pop me back up on the screen so you can see who you're speaking to. So welcome. It's great to have you here with us today. Hi, Lorraine. How are you? Thank you for joining us. And please jump on, say hello. Now we're going to do a little bit of colouring in that today. We're going to play with some stamp sets that I've had sitting here for ages, and I've used the designer series paper, and you know what? I've had it here for a couple of months, and probably even 3 months or more, and I have not inked these up. So we're going to make, whoops, you can't even see what I'm trying to ink up. We're going to ink these up today and do a little bit of colouring. Now, I am going to be a little bit slow. I had a bit of a fall earlier this week, which was quite embarrassing, but I've hurt my hand. So even though it's actually closing up a lot better than what it was last night, I was only able to get it to there. So, but my hand is a little bit swollen and a little bit sore. But thankfully it's my left hand and not my right hand, so we can do a bit of colouring. But if I seem to be a little bit slow on picking things up, that's the reason why. Now, because of that, I have pulled out my Stamparatus. And, of course, the Stamparatus is a product that has been discontinued, so we don't have it anymore. But I just thought I'm not going to try to pick up a large block, even though I'll be picking it up with this hand, but try to juggle it and so forth with this one as well. So we're going to use a Stamparatus. Now that's not sitting nice and flat. And why is that? No, that seems to be all okay. Okay then. So I've already got a piece of basic white cardstock I've popped in there. Now I really have not prepped anything for this. I've pulled out the designer series paper, which is the mixed media paper, which is this one here, and I've pulled out a few colours from that I quite like. So I've got those. I have pulled out boho blue. I'm going to be so sad to see this particular colour go. Boho blue is my favourite colour, so I'm going to be so sad. So I'm going to be basing this card with boho blue because this is the colour that they've done that as well in. We're just going to play basically and see how we go. Hi Joan, how are you? So we're just going to create something quite simple. I think, whoops, just dropped that paper on the floor. Let me grab another piece out in a minute. Okay, so we're going to start off with stamping this, and I've pulled out some blends. Blends I've pulled out. I've got Mossy Meadow. I have got Lemon Lime Twist. Actually, I put out Granny Green cardstock, and I've got Mossy Meadow cardstock, Garden Green. I might have to see if I can find this there. That's Lemon Lime Twist. I might have to grab my Granny Apple Green in that. And I've got my boho blue in there. I've got my real red. I've got some basic black and some of the yellows, the Lemon Lolly and the Daffodil Delight. So let's start off with by inking this up. I'm using my Memento here. And one of the things I am having trouble with at the moment is actually taking the lids off. Not so much this one, but the other one. So we'll see how we go. We're just going to ink this up quite well. As I said, this is the first time I've inked these, which is a real surprise. But I don't know why, but over the last couple of months, I haven't done much colouring until the last 1 to 2 weeks. Like especially with my blends, I sort of went off them for a little bit. But, and I do enjoy using them. So let's give that a good push down. I've got here somewhere, let me just find it in my little bag of tricks here. I made this a few years ago out of one of our blocks. This is a D block, and I've just layered it with some thick felt and then a lighter piece of felt on top, and that just helps to give some pressure on that. So let's see how we go, whether we got a good image or not. Need a bit more, I think, in this top corner. Unfortunately, this top corner of this particular tool always has a bit of an issue with stamping. But there you go. So I just find that's just a really good, cheap way to make yourself a block to use for giving you pressure on your Stamparatus or any other tool like this that you might use. I'm just going to pop that off there because we don't need that anymore. And we'll pop that magnet just there. Pop that to one side. Come back and clean that later. So here's our image, which we're going to play with. Okay, so let's grab our inks here. And, of course, the easiest ones to start off with would be our ladybirds. So I have got my real red in my dark and my light. So I'm going to start off with my light, and I'm going to use that fine tip because they're only quite small. May not even need to use the dark one. We'll see how we go. And, of course, with using your blends, it's actually really good having a glass mat underneath. If you don't own a glass mat, just grab yourself a glass photo frame, or for this sort of thing, even a piece of Perspex underneath. It just helps to keep the cardstock moist. If you had paper or something underneath it, that will absorb any of the moisture we're putting into our image. I'm just putting a bit of dark there, just sort of around the tops where I think there might be shadowing. And that's it for that. So by having a piece of glass underneath there just helps keeping your ink moist and helps it to allow for the blending. So we'll pop those back in there. And I'm going to grab all the Lemon Lolly, the Daffodil Delight. I even threw in here the Wild Wheat. Getting ready for all the new in colours, and I pulled out all the old ones and put them away in my container, my drawer, where I keep all my old blends. And I thought today I've got to pull them all out again. So, Wild Wheat and Boho Blue are the two of my favourite colours that are going. So I'm quite sad about them. So I'm going to start with my Lemon Lolly. Now, it's really up to you. I like to start with my light colours and then work up. And that's mainly how I was told how to use the Copic alcohol markers. But, I mean, everyone has their own way of doing it. So there's really no right and wrong. I just like to start with my light. The reason why I was told to start with your light first is that because you want to get your cardstock saturated with ink. So by using your light colour and then building up to your dark, you're saturating your cardstock first with your light colour, and then you can put your layers on top of that. Whereas if you're starting with a dark colour, you can't colour your whole area in your dark colour. You're only wanting to put where you want your shading to go. So let's see if I can get this lid off. Doing a bit wonky. So by laying down, as I said, my light colour first, I can cover the whole area with my light colour and then come back and add my shading over the top. But what I'm also doing is making sure that I have got plenty of ink in that area. And what you want to do is you want to be able to flip this over and see that fully saturated on the other side. And that's why you know that the ink has gone all the way through your cardstock. Now that is going to help allow any other colours that I put on top to blend. So now I've got my Lemon Lolly in the lighter one, and I'm just going to add some shading. And I'm using the areas that Stamping Up have already given us with that dottage that they've left there. So I'm only putting this darker colour there. I'm not putting any of the lighter colour over on the other section. And now I'm going to come back in with my Daffodil Delight because I just want to build this colour up. Now also too, working on a small section, you don't really want to work on anything bigger than a 50-cent piece because it'll dry out too quick. So again, I'm just going to add some darker colour, but a little bit less this time. I'm just going around the outside edge, and I've got here the Daffodil Delight in the light, but I think actually I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add my dark Wild Wheat. Actually, I'm going to test it. I might just go with my light one first, and I'm just going to add that in there, just around those areas, just along the bottom, up along the top. I'm going to come back in with my dark one and just add a few dots of colour, like just on those dots, just a few little dots. And now I'm going to come back in with my light Lemon Lolly again and go over the top, and that will just help blend all of those colours together. And as that dries, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a nice effect there. Now, I am noticing my colour is bleeding a bit, but I'm not going to worry about that. My black ink is bleeding out, so I'm just going to let that dry and see what happens. It could be that I've used maybe a little bit too much ink and it's reacting. It shouldn't do, but it seems like it is a little bit. We're going to just call that a little bit of artist's, I don't know. It just makes it look soft and fuzzy, doesn't it? It's, yeah, that's what we're going to call it. It's just giving my design here a little bit of soft fuzziness. Now, that's the Daffodil Delight in the light. And I'm just going to go over the top, but leaving a light area here. So I'm only doing really probably about 2/3 of that. I'm going to leave off the dark what did I just do? I just did Daffodil Delight and Light. So haven't used the dark lemon lolly. I'm going to come back in with my wild wheat in the light because I do like that. And I'm going to put a bit of that in there. And I'm going to add a few of those dots in the dark. It's just adding that little bit of texture. And I'm going to come back with my light lemon lolly. And I'm just going to let that go for now like that. So it's just given that little bit of colour and texture. And as I said, whoops, I wonder if I can get that in better focus or not. Probably not. We're just going to keep going from there. If I bring it up too close to the camera, I think it's just taking it too far out of focus. Now, what I want to do here is I don't want my flowers to be overly coloured. I want to keep them white with a bit of a hue of a different colour. And what I've pulled in, I've got pumpkin pie, and I don't think I want that one. There's my balmy blue. Sorry, I just can't grab the right colour there. There's my boho. I'm going to stick with the lemon lime twist for the moment. And okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, and I've got my colour lifter. I'm going to start with my lighter in my boho blue in my fine tip, and all I'm going to do is just do a little bit of colour at the top here. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, so it's either going to work or it's not going to work. So I'm going to just got my colour lifter here, and I just want to bring out some of that colour. Might have to bring out a bit more of the boho blue because it's not too bad, but maybe. So I've just added a little bit there. I'm just using the light again, and I just want to add a bit around the bottom and up the side. So I'm sort of just doing like a shading. I just didn't want it to be pure white petals. But I don't want necessarily a solid line there either. So I'm just going to then around the edge add that colour lifter just to soften, and hopefully that will just feather those colours out a little bit, because what colour lifter does is it pushes the colour away. And just softens those edges. I don't want to put too much colour lifter away in it because we don't want it to take it completely away, but just on those edges there. So I think that's getting the effect that I want. Now, I know you probably can't see that, so let me see if I can get it better. Can you see that? I've just got that little bit of blue there, but the colour lifter is just sort of fading it off to almost nothing. So you're just sort of giving that look that the white petals have got that little bit of a hint of blue in it. So I'm going to do the same with this one down here. Again, just doing it from one side. So I'm not going all the way around the petals. I'm just doing it on one side, so like a bit of like a shading type of thing. And then I'm going to come underneath there as well. So let's just come back in with our colour lifter, and again just going around all those edges just to soften that up a bit. So I hope you've all had a good week. So let me just show you that. So there we go. That's what it's starting to look like. So I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and I'm going to start working on another area. Now, I haven't decided yet what colour I'm going to do my little flowers. I may have to pick a colour out of from behind me, but I'm going to start with, I've got lemon lime twist. I've also grabbed shaded spruce, and I've also got mossy meadow here somewhere. Okay, so I haven't even tested these colours, and all those colours look funny together, so it's not going to be, I'm thinking at the moment those might be just those tones there, because they work fairly well together. Okay, so let's start with our light lemon lime, and I'm going to start with these petals down here. And again, I'm just going to colour, they're fairly small, so I'm going to colour 2 at a time. Come back in with a little bit of the dark lemon lime. I'm sort of just taking that a little bit further down. And then I've got the mossy meadow here, and I'm just going to bring that in very lightly along that bottom edge. So again, just like a bit of shading. And then again with my lemon lime twist in the lighter, I'm just going to go over the whole lot just to blend everything in together. If you use a light colour on a dark colour, it works very similar to your colour lifter. It pushes the colour away. So that's basically what it's doing. So let's just go to the next set of leaves. You don't have to get too complicated because these aren't very big images. It's not like we're doing a huge image. So I'm just going to colour here 3. So I might be able to get the whole 4 out if I work quickly. But they're not, it's not like a big huge image where you've got to be really worried about number of colours you've got and how you're shading and everything. All we're just trying to do is just put a bit of colour into there. And I, by all means, don't have all the answers. So again, I'm just adding a little bit of shading with my mossy meadow. I'm not adding too much. I can actually see the, because I've laid down that layer of the light colour underneath. It's the colour is also spreading a little bit with the inks, which is great because that all helps with the blending. So again, going over the top of the whole lot with the light one, just spreading those colours out and blending all of those colours together. Okay, I keep putting the lid back on and then having to take it back off again. So that now I feel this petal here, this flower here is dried enough. I'm going to come in close to it and do some of these stems. Now here I'm just going to leave out my dark lemon lime. I'm going to go straight to my light mossy meadow. And I'm just putting a line just on one side, just like a bit of shadowing. And just dotting it a little bit along there. And again, I'm going to come back in and go over the whole lot again, just to help all that blend out. So now I'm going to go back in and layer the next layer of colour. Just putting a few little dots there, just a thin line there. Excuse me. Okay, bit of hair on there. So that's where we're up to at the moment. Now with these little flowers here, I think I'm going to go back to my boho blue, or I could even pull out the balmy blue. Let's just have a quick look. Maybe I might use the balmy blue for my flowers. Okay, so I've got my light balmy blue here, and all I'm going to do is just very simply just colour each of these flowers in. Now, of course, you could have coloured them in a different colour. Even a pink would have probably looked good with this. And looking at that, I think I might grab a bit of a pink or a purple, because I think that's starting to look like they're all two the same. So just bear with me 1 second while I just turn around and grab another colour. Okay, won't be a moment. Because I've used the balmy blue, I might go into either Highland Heather or Fresh Freesia, because they've got sort of like your blue undertonings into your purples. Because that particular cardstock will also use, just going to grab also Calypso Coral, because there's a lot of Calypso Coral in that particular paper. I might even just, we'll colour over the top and see how we go. So I've gone the Calypso Coral rather than the purples. I'm inventing a new colour here because I'm blending those blues together. We'll get rid of those because I don't think I'm liking this colour. And I'm just going to add again, I'm just adding a little bit of this on one side. And then I'm going to come back in with the lighter. It's got a little bit of blue in that, which is just like a little bit of a reflection. Doesn't look too bad, actually. So let's go and finish these. These are probably going to be more of a cleaner colour, though I could add a little bit of that balmy blue in there if we wanted to. Because that is one thing about the blends. You can actually create your own colours. So actually, I think I will. I'm just going to add a little bit. Something we say in embroidery, there's never any mistakes. You just work on it over the top until you make it what you want. So I've just gone over those with a light again. Add a little bit of dark. Just want to put a little bit of that balmy blue into there. And then I'm going back over these again. Doesn't look too bad. I'll bring it up to the camera for you in a moment. So let me just, I'm just going to add a little bit of, it's really just putting that around the centres. Then some of that Calypso Coral. Some of the dark, just to add a little bit of shading in there. Okay. So I'm just going over the whole lot with the light Calypso Coral. Okay, maybe not the best colouring I've done, but that's right. There's never any mistakes, just a new creation. But there you go. So now we're going to cut that all out. So let me just move my blends out of the road. And I'm going to try to do this with my big cut and emboss. So now let's grab those dies. As I said, I haven't used any of these, so they're even still on their sheets. That's how bad I've been. Okay, let's see if I can get these off. So I'm just going to bend the paper back, and that way hopefully these dies will just prise off that sticky. Because I've got no strength in this left hand at all at the moment. There we go. And we need these little ones. So we've got 1, 2. I'm hoping that that's one there. Maybe I don't need, it's almost like there's one missing. That's, okay. So let's pop that on there, and I'm going to use my tape here to hold this down. Pop a couple of pieces on there just to hold that nice and firm. And then that little one there looks like that will cut out that one. Whoops. Must be a bit of glue still on the residue on the die. So I'm hoping I've got, whoops, I don't think I've got that lined up. They're so tiny. You might just cut those out and come back and cut the others out. That on top, and then let's see how we go. So let's just lift this one first. Very gently lift that off. So there's our, whoops, something's caught, our image there. So we've got that one. Pop that. Where am I going to pop it? Just there for the moment. I've got one little lady beetle, or ladybug. So there's one. Now, that looks like the same as I've already used. These two little ones here. That one looks like that will cut out that one. It keeps moving. And then that little one. But there's no other. Unless it's this one here. It looks really funny. We're going to chance it on that one as being the one that goes with that. And I think it is, because there's no other stamped image that matches it. Hello, Sue. How are you? Yeah, I think it did give it a bit of a pop there, Leslie. Okay, let's pop that one on. I think it was going to be all too much blue. But you could colour those flowers whatever colour you want. I mean, I have seen them done in melon mambo or anything, but I sort of see them as being a daisy type flower. And I love the daisies that have got either the blue hue or the slightly purple hue to them. So that's what I was sort of trying to envisage. So see how we went. Gee, our garbage trucks are coming late. I can just hear them. Just got him in. I think my die moved a little bit, but that's okay. We've got that one. It's really hard because I can't sort of hold much on the other hand. So and there's the other. That's cut out beautifully. Okay, so we'll just get rid of those. Pop those dies on there until I get a bag for them. Okay. Now, I'm going to pop this away because we may bring in, sort of thinking of doing a little bit more die cutting. Now, Miss Worry had done something. She had posted this morning an idea. Trying to think now. She was doing partial die cutting, but that's not what I was thinking of you doing. What she did is, and I'm going to grab another piece of white, and I'm going to use the smaller cut and emboss machine. What she did was she actually die cut. Let me get rid of these so we don't lose them. She didn't stamp this, she just die cutted it and then coloured it, and I thought, gee, that looked effective. And I don't want a huge amount of, this is just not wanting to come off for me. Let me just see if I can bend that. I've got the use of these two fingers, but I just don't have the use of those two. I think when I fell, I separated my two fingers. So all the ligaments and everything in my hand here have all stretched a bit. So what I want to do is I'm just going to grab some scissors here and just cut a strip off. But I really liked how Miss Worry had done this. So I've got my Mossy Meadow ink here, ink pad. So what she did, pop that in there, and I'll probably do two of these. Pop that plate on top. So this is a die that goes with one of the stamped images. But what I'm doing is I'm just going to die cut it. Pop that over there for the moment. Do one, see how it turns out. If we like it, we'll do another one. And then she used, I'm sure she used Granny Apple Green, but I've got Lemon Lime Twist, and I'm not going to pull out the other one. I think it'll still work well with this. She coloured this in that. So I'm just going to use now I'm using the fine tip. I think it would be much quicker if I used now you could too, because what I did pull out, and I might even try both of them and see how they look. So this is using your blends to colour your white cardstock. But what you could do too is use your cardstock, and I've pulled out the Granny Apple Green cardstock. And do the same technique, but on that, so you wouldn't need to colour it like this. So I've coloured that. And then I believe what she's done is taken one of these and then a blending brush. Now this is where I'm going to have trouble because I can't hold that. So I'm going to look a bit awkward here, I'm sorry. And just use blending brush just to go around those edges, just to give a bit of a darker tone. So we'll give this a go and see what we think. Whoops, I probably should have gone off a little bit there. But that's okay because it's going to go behind. Now, of course, I think she's done hers much nicer and neater than I've done this. The other thing you could use instead of a brush too would be a dauber. And let's just have a look, see if I've got one here. This is where just playing. I actually probably quite like using the dauber better. I think I can get into some of those areas there and I can hold it. What I'm just going to do is just stamp off a bit of that ink. Don't know whether I'm completely liking what I'm doing here, but this is what all this is all about. It's having a play and just seeing what we come up with. But what I do like is because I'm using a dauber, I'm just sort of dabbing it down. I'm getting like a little speckled effect. So that could actually look quite nice. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up because, as I said, this is what this is all about. The only problem is I don't want to get any of this onto that. We don't want to lose those either. Here I was, started with a nice clean work surface. And I'm just going to wipe that off, and I'll get some alcohol on that later on and give it a really good clean. I'm going to pop that just to one side. Try not to get any ink anywhere. And I have got my granny apple green here. Now, let's bring that in again. So please tell me what you think, since you're watching me do this, and you can see which one you like better, or whether there's no difference at all. Now, remember, I am using a different coloured cardstock here. The other one was lemon lime twist, where this is actually a granny apple green. And let's see if I can grab that die. So let's go. I've got some of the Mossy Meadow or it's still on this, and I have done this sort of thing before where I've used coloured cardstock. Oops. Just go around those edges with your dauber. Because you're using a dauber too, you can actually push some of these little leaves up higher, so then you're getting that ink in exactly where you want it to go. You can come back in and just do a couple of those little pounces like I was doing before, just to give it a bit more texture, because it just gives like a little splatter. So that's using granny apple green. Let me just get some white cardstock. So that's the granny apple green with Mossy Meadow around. This is the basic white, which we've coloured in the lemon lime twist. So that's got a slightly more yellow to it. I think I might do that one. I think I like the granny apple green a bit better than the lemon lime twist. And we'll just do some edges in that, because I think that with, whoops. Now, we're not quite sure yet what background we're going to use, but that behind that could look quite pretty. The other thing is too, we could cut this all out. Look, since we're playing, I hope you ladies aren't in a big rush, but since we're playing, I'm going to do this one, and because that behind that could be very pretty as well. So but you could leave some of these leaves without the other colour on it, and you can have some leaves with that colour on it. I'll pop all of that together, because I'm not going to throw any of that away. If it doesn't get used on this card, it will get used on something else. Normally I would just cut this. It's about 3 inches in width or 3.5 inches in width. I'm just going to use that as my guide. Do this quite quickly. Now at the moment I'm actually working on some of the new products that we have from coming out in the new annual catalogue, and I'm putting together a class. It's a paid class. It'll be about $25, and you'll get a tutorial for 3 cards, and you will see me make them. If you live here in Australia, if you buy the product from me for that particular sweet collection from me that we're going to use, and I'll tell you the name of that in a minute, then you will get the tutorial class for free. Otherwise, you can purchase it for $25 and join the class, and you can make, the class will give you all the measurements and everything you need, all the products I'm using, so you can purchase that yourself. So it means that no matter where you are in the world, you can still join. I'm still working out all the ins and outs of it, so it won't be until later on next month. So, and I will advertise it a bit more, but I'm be using, I'll just grab them here. This is the products I'm using with the embossing folder, which is this one here, and also the designer series paper. So if you're interested in this, just watch out for it, because I will be advertising it in my newsletter, on my Facebook page. It'll be 3 cards. I'm trying to create something that's a little bit different. I hope so. But then, with those particular papers, it's sort of like it's still got a classical tone, because the damask is a very classical type design. So even though I'm trying to do something a little bit different, it's still staying within those traditional damask type layouts as well. But as I said, just keep your eye open for those, and I will let you know when registration starts. So that's what I've been busy doing over the last few weeks. Haven't been getting much else done than designing and planning of all of that. Okay, so we've cut that out. So if we wanted to just change a little bit of the tone of some of this, what we can do is take a little bit of ink and then just colour up some of these areas just to give it a little bit of shading, so it's not all the same. Make some of them a little bit lighter, some of them a little bit darker. Just flick that little bit there out of there. Just want to go over that one there in a more of a solid colour. So I'm putting a bit more depth into that one. And the same here. Now, I don't want to get, I'm going to use this here. I don't want to get too much of that onto that part of the leaf. So I'm just going to use this scrap here as a bit of a mask. It is a little bit fiddly, and you do get a little bit of ink all over you. And the other one I want to do is that one. Again, just mask that off a little bit there so I can get a bit of colour on there. Just so then we've got a little bit of difference in tone in some of these leaves. And then I'm just going to just put a little bit on there. There we go. I quite like that. Let me just grab this so you can see that. So I've done some of them in heavier, the mossy meadow, and some just putting a little bit of, almost like dirtying it up, giving it a bit of a dirty effect. You're sitting there and watching, are you, Leslie? That's good. Okay. That's right. Put my fingernail straight into my ink pad. Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of trouble here, just trying to work out the best way to close that. Okay. So let's move that out of the road. We just need to clean up my area here a bit because we don't want to have ink all over my card. Just going to pop a little bit of this on here. Since I started with a nice clean desk area. Okay. So I think I've done enough playing with ink. We have got our flowers, we have got our leaves to go on top, well, not go on top, underneath. I've got a couple of extra if you want to add a bit more texture and colour in there, and we've got our little ladybugs. So let's start having a look at this card and building it up. So, as I said, I've got a card base here. I've already pre-scored it. Now, I will be trying to get this up onto my blog sometime over this weekend. I'm just not quite sure when. My son is coming to visit, and he's the one that's helping me with my class as far as how I'm going to run it and everything. So I'm just waiting for him. Now, I have got this. I thought we could pop that underneath there. I still could put a white mat underneath that. Let's just have a look what some of these colours are going to look like. Still have a sentiment yet to do. So we're going to pop, we could pop that onto there. Maybe even just move that instead of it so it's directly on top. It can be going a little bit like that. If we use these, we could probably put one of those going up into there. Just give it a little bit more height, which I quite like. Maybe even that one coming to there as well. Hello, Glenda. How are you? Hi, Lucia. You snuck in there. Okay, so let me have a look. Move those little three over there so they're out of the road. Now we can pop, as I said, I can put a white mat underneath that, which means all that will need to be trimmed down. So then that will all be layered like that. And I think I do like that. I have got some other papers here, but I think that's it's the wrong green, completely wrong green now that I've used that. And I did have a little bit of that black, which I managed to drop on the floor. So let's just have a look, see if I've got another piece here. Thought I might have had, but I'm not quite sure. Though I'm thinking, I think that might be enough. I think by the time I add too much, you can get too busy. We don't want to get too busy. We still have a sentiment to go on there. I think I'm going to start cutting this down. Otherwise, this is just going to be going on forever and ever and ever. And I'm sure you lovely ladies have other things to do. Okay, so let's just trim this down here. And I'm going to trim this to 14.4. And I'm going to need, whoops, 2 pieces of this by 10. So we've got one for the front, one for inside. One thing about hurting your hand, you can't pick anything up like you used to be able to. Okay, we're going to do, again, another one at 10 of 14.4. And this one here I need at 9.7, so we've just got a little bit of a mat around it, by 14.1. That's just giving a 3 mil difference between our matte and our designer series paper. Now I probably will find something I can put on the inside in a minute. Let's just start layering this up. So we've got this piece is going to go on top of there. And we have our card base. So I'm going to pop that straight onto there, I think. I'm not going to pop anything up on dimensionals. Or am I? No, I don't think I will. Usually I only pop something up on dimensionals as if I've got ribbon or something like that underneath, which needs some clearance. So give that a good rub. I'm just going to, just to make sure all that glue is spread nicely. So let's have a look. So we've got, we can pop that one there. So we can either, I like having those come off to that side, I think, like I did before. So I think that just needs to go fractionally over there. So let's just pop a little bit of glue onto this. Now the areas I'm putting the glue is going to be more towards the centre part, mainly too because I like to have a little bit of lift with my leaves. I don't like everything sort of stuck solidly to the background. But also too, these areas here are going to be hidden to some sort of extent by the flowers on top. And if you don't like those lifted up, the easiest way to put a bit extra glue on them is to grab I keep some of these little offcuts. Actually, here's some here. So, well, I've trimmed off my basic white. I keep those. I put up a little bit of glue. I use these like a paintbrush. Put a little bit of glue in on there. So if I want to add a bit extra glue anywhere, say, for example, underneath this one here, which is quite fine, I can just take that and just tap it in and then press it down. You may just need to hold it down or put a block on that for a little while. So I don't want to put glue on these tips, but just maybe a bit further down, Just putting a bit extra there. Just hold that down. Put a bit of weight or something on it. And that way too, as you can see here, I can get into areas where, you know, I may not want glue on this one, but I want a bit of glue on there. So you can sort of play around. And at the end of the day, let's throw that in the bin. So where are the pieces here? So we've got this piece here, which I want to pop in. So that's going to go probably like that. This one here, I'm going to pop that into there. So again, I'm only just putting glue down that area there. Just lift that up a little bit. Make sure that that's going to work, because I don't want that to be, I want that sort of coming up in there. Then we have the one that we did on, so that was the granny apple green one. This is the one we did using the lemon lime twist. And I'm going to throw it in as well. That way nothing gets wasted. Yeah, I love using scraps like that as a paintbrush for my leftover piece, like for gluing those little bits and pieces. It just works so handy. Oops, that's not quite wanting to go in there, so I'm going to pop that over the top. But I'm going to lift that up because I want, whoops, I'm going to weave that in a bit, just like that. So I don't know whether you can see what I've done there. I really wanted this piece here to be underneath all of that, the fineness of that. So what I've done is I couldn't get it in because I've glued it in first. So I've just popped that in there and I've just lifted that little leaf just over the top, because by the time I'm going to pop this, it's actually going to hide all of that. You probably don't even see that anyway because it's going to be well and truly hidden. So what I'm going to do now is grab some dimensionals. I've got my large ones. And we're going to pop some dimensionals underneath here. So I'll pop one there. One there. And maybe a couple of mini ones down. Towards the bottom here, because I want that well and truly adhered. I don't like using too many dimensionals because then it allows me to add, if I want to put something in underneath it, I can. So that can go just there like that. Now this one here is still yet to go on the inside, but I haven't put anything, haven't got anything planned to go there as yet. So what have we got here that we can use? Even though we haven't used any of that, we could put just a little bit of that, because it's still picking up that blue tones, which I think I might do. So I want to cut a strip of this. Just trying to work out where everything is. I've still got those little lady beetles to pop on there and a sentiment, but I want a strip of this, probably about 1.5 centimetres. It's beautiful paper with a little bit of that blue texture in it. We've cut that down to, oh, wet there. We might have cut this one down a bit further than I thought. No, 14.4, that's fine. So we'll cut that down to 14.4. just to give us a little bit of interest inside the card. After this, I'm going to need a good rest to rest my hand again because it's starting to ache a little bit. So we'll try to get this finished up as quick as we can. It's the most I've done in 2 days. I've pretty much spent 2 days in my pajamas. All I can say, ladies, it is not fun having a fall. And look after yourselves. So we'll pop that inside there. Haven't quite got that lined up there. Just giving that all a good bit of a rub there. Now we still have these little fellas here. And we still have a sentiment. So let's have a quick look at the other stamp set. And I think what I might do is, because it does come with these dies here that you can use to stamp your sentiment in, but just for the fact that this has been going for a little bit long, I'm going to pull out my little tub of tricks here and see if we can find a sentiment that will fit on there. And you also have that lovely banner too, which you can stamp and die cut. So, whoops. Sorry about that. I don't know whether you saw that, but I must have knocked something. It came up, did I want to leave this screen? No, I want to stay here and get my card finished. So we have got with sympathy. No, I don't want to use that. Happy anniversary. Thank you. For a great friend. I'm just trying to work out where we might put. Now these are different ones that I've cut from different things. So that might be a little bit too big, but we've got to find out whether any of these is going to fit a sentiment yet. Circle's too big. So far I'm liking that little banner. Also just sort of, there's also a thank you, which that could look quite pretty with. Okay, let's have a look. So we have got, that thank you is very small. Let's have a look. What else do we have here? We've got the with sympathy. You're Pretty Wonderful is pretty good, but I think it's going to be too big. And I don't think I'm going to do some fussy cutting today, because that would fit right across there. Will that fit on that? Add a squeeze. We don't want to squeeze. Hello, Ida. How are you going? Also have this banner. Now these are out of the stylish shapes, and we can cut that down. That might work. Now I'm not even going to bother putting the sticker on top of this one. Actually, I probably should. because I want to line it up. And it's easy to line up if we have that sticker on there. Okay then. So there's my block. There's my sticker. So as I've said before, what I do is I peel my sticker off and I leave the backing on it, and then I stick that straight down on my block like that. Then I can take off the backing. If you don't have nails, then you can take a pick tool. And this is my stamp. And then I take my block to my stamp. Layer it over the top. Okay, line it up and then push it down. Just gives me a much, there's less chance of the stamp or the sticker stretching and then trying to pull your stamp in. So that's now ready to go. So I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow. Could also have used black. Actually, I might use the black. And we're going to just ink that up. Now, normally what I do is I like to stamp my sentiment and then die cut it, but this time we're doing the opposite way. So I've already got the die cut done. So I'm hoping I'm going to get it straight. Sorry if I had my head in the road. So let's just, no, that's crooked. Let's see if I've got another one. Don't like crooked. And I don't have another one. No. It's great having all these things, but when you cut crooked or stamp crooked and you don't have a second one, I think I'm going to have to just not use that, and I can't flip it over. So we need to find a piece of basic white, which I've got here. Now this is the way I normally like to do it because I can guarantee I can get it pretty straight. So I'm going to stamp that on there. There's my sentiment. Works much quicker. And you guys would hate to see my desk after I've finished my lives. I've got stuff everywhere. Stylish shapes straight on the top. That works out really well. Oh, my muscles are starting to really hurt. Okay, there we go. That's the one I wanted, and I don't only want to cut partial of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just trim a portion of that away. Now I want that to go that way. First off, what I'm going to do is actually make sure this is all lined up straight. We're not doing this again. That's why I like to stamp first, cut second, because then I can line up my die to match my stamping. My stamping does not have to be straight. My die does. It would look like my desk after a live, like a tornado has hit it. Yeah, it has pretty much looked like a tornado has hit. keep saying to my husband, I've got to clean up. I've got to clean up. But I really do. I do have to. It's really funny. I like systems. When it comes to the computer or doing something, I like having a system. I have a system for how things work. When it comes to crafting and creating, my systems go out the window and I end up with stuff everywhere because, hey, why do you need a system when you create? You know, you've got to be free. You've got to, let your imagination go and thrive. You don't need systems for that. That's what I keep telling him. Don't know whether he believes me half the time. Okay, I'm just going to grab a pencil and pop a pencil mark on this to where I want it to go. So I want it to cut it about probably there and there. Grab that. Line up those marks with that cut edge there. There we go. Beautiful. And we need our dimensionals again. Pop one there, and I'm going to pop, just using this as a guide of where I want another dimensional to go there. And I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on there. And I'm just lining that up with my mat. And that is going to go right there like that. Now, if we wanted to, we could add a few Gee, you'd be proud of me. I'm trying to find some gems to pop on this. It's another thing I've got to clean up. Yeah, I'm just throwing everything around now. No, we don't need gems. We've got lady beetles. They're our gems. Oh, thank goodness I remembered that. I hurt my hand. I think when I fell, I spread these two fingers apart or something, and everything's all swollen in there, so I can only close that up a little bit. It's a lot better than what it was. And I've hurt my shoulder on the opposite side. The last couple of days I was walking with a cane because I had hurt my knees as well. I think I hurt my pride more than anything else. Actually, I'm going to use, because it happened at about 7:30 in the morning. I was trying to go to the bathroom and I tripped over the tiles. Trying to find my take a pic tool. It's all buried. Yeah, so we had to call in an ambulance to get me up off the floor. That was the embarrassing part. But anyway, the lovely young ambulance people were wonderful, and they got me up on my feet and I could go to the toilet. I was just so desperate to go to the toilet. That was the problem. Okay, let's have a look. Where can we put this one here? I think we'll put that one about there. I think I'll just pop these directly under here. But I was in a lot of shock the other day. It was on Tuesday morning, so. And today's my first day I've been actually up and out and dressed. Sue, I only had my nightie and my knickers on when I fell, and having, like these young people come who, not that I knew them beforehand, but they knew people I knew, they'd be as young as my kids. That was the embarrassing part. Okay, so we've got 2 more lady beetles here. We've got one I want to pop down. Do I want to pop one down there or on a leaf? Maybe. Got one there. If we're following a triangle, I'm just going to pop that there for a minute. So we'll take this off. Now I want one of these to be maybe, do we want one of these down here? Come on, ladies, help me. We've got one there. Where can we put these? This one here is sort of, okay. Probably a bit too big to go there. We could have him tucked up underneath there, maybe. I'm just putting them here. Tell me what you think. And then this one here needs to go somewhere, probably at about there. I don't know about this one here, so tell me what you think. I'm thinking of this one here is going to go on here. There, so 1, 2, and then this little one here, maybe around about, don't want him lined up with the, can always go there, can't he? Oh, look at that, how cute. Slightly at an angle. Oh, I might have to put a little baby dimensional underneath there just to hold and support that, I think. Just because he's got a little bit of weight there behind him. So we'll just pop that underneath there. I haven't taken the backing off there yet. So let's just see if I can flick that backing off it. There. Oh, look at that. And I've got one more. Oh, no, I keep coming up. Look, I think you guys are rubbing off on me. My bling's coming out. A little bit of bling on, because we didn't put any real bling on here. So a little bit of bling on each one of these. So little ladybirds, their wings are their bling. How about that? Oh, how cute. Oh, how about that? Can you see that glittering? Oh, I'm so pleased with it. So this is the first time, as I said before, first time I've played with this. So, and then inside it's quite plain. Maybe later on I might find something. I mean, even if you got one of these, cut it and coloured it again, and then just use a portion of it. You wouldn't use the whole thing, but maybe just cut something off it, popped on. But yeah, Lorraine, you're right. But I'm really pleased with the way that's turned out. I think that looks fantastic. I'm completely sold on this now. Had it sitting in my stash for 2 to 3 months and not done a thing with it. I am naughty, but I'm really pleased. And I even like the blue that's in my flowers, in these little flowers here, where I made a mistake. And then, well, we won't call it a mistake. They're just beautiful flowers now, but they've got that little bit of balmy blue in there. So there you go. There's my card for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm sorry if I've gone a little bit long. Thank you very much for putting up with me and for enjoying this live. And, yeah, so keep your eyes open because I have got 3 exciting cards using this particular suite coming up. There's that one there. And with the designer series paper, that will be a paid class coming up in May. I just haven't quite worked out the date or time as yet. But you'll get the live with that. You'll also get a written tutorial for all 3 cards that you can use over and over again. Yeah, so that's what I've got planning for you at the moment, as I said, happening in May. So as we get closer to the time, I'll put out more details, but at the moment I'm looking at it's going to be about $25 for the class. That means that anybody in the world can actually join in. You can purchase, if you're a demonstrator, you can purchase your own products and use them, and what you're paying for is the class and the tutorial. If you don't have a demonstrator and you want to purchase the whole suite from me, then you can purchase that suite from me, and I will give you the class for free. So that's the plan, the outline of it. So as we get closer to the end of this month, there'll be more and more details. I'm hoping to have everything up and ready to go within the next week to 2 weeks, so for you to make that purchase. So thank you very much for today. I will go before I keep babbling on, and I think I need to go and rest my hand and my shoulder. And I hope you all have a lovely day. So bye for now. Leslie's got bye for now, hand pink waving, hand pink waving. So I think it must be a pink hand is waving. So I'm waving back. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely week. Have a lovely weekend. It looks like it's going to be beautiful, if not a bit cool. And thank you very much all for joining me. So take care. Bye for